Hi, this is Ryan with Optrua. Today we're going to be talking about questions and answers that follow on to our 12 CRM project roles video that we did previously. For a successful CRM project and the resulting project team, many different roles are required. In a previous video, we talked about the 12 roles, and those 12 roles span executive sponsor, CRM developer, QA, project manager, different subject matter experts, and on and on. All the roles, it's really important to have all your roles clearly defined at the beginning of the project so you can identify gaps and have your CRM project be as successful as possible. Hey, if you're going along and you have another question that you haven't heard the answer to yet, please leave us a question below. We'll add it to the next one that we do. Some of the best ways to ensure that you have collaboration and cross-functional team members coming together is you have a charter right from the beginning of your CRM project. You lay out who needs to meet, how often. You have often touch points, sometimes as often as multiple times a week, sometimes weekly. But you bring people together, they're all engaged, and by all means, don't just throw the project over the fence to a developer, wait till they come up with something and throw it back. It is a cross-functional team and project that you need to have all these players together multiple times, all communicating and collaborating. Some of the biggest mistakes that people make when putting together a CRM project team, I would say the number one is lack of executive sponsorship. They'll be involved at the beginning. Executives are extremely busy, and even getting an hour, maybe once every couple of weeks or every so often, is hard. But that's a real key role. Other ones could be related to change management and training. That's often another thing that's overlooked or kind of minimized. And then the last one I would say is support. Once you go live, without support, likely your CRM project might go for a number of weeks or months, but eventually you'll hit a snag. And I've seen multiple systems, perfectly good systems, fail due to lack of support and training. When thinking about how to lay out the roles and divide the responsibilities, it's just important to not overload one individual, to make sure that individual fits the role that you're asking them to do. So for example, if you're looking to fill a QA role, make sure that people understand what that looks like and really know, you wouldn't throw a junior person that's never developed at the developer role. That makes sense. Same thing with like a subject matter expert. You wouldn't bring in somebody that's never sold to decide how the sales system should flow from one step to the next to the next. So the two keys of a successful CRM project are executive sponsorship or executive buy-in and user adoption. And both can be difficult, but at the same time easy. So at the beginning with the executive sponsor, you need to be able to, the project needs to be valuable enough to the business so that the executive sponsor can engage and have time available. Their role is important and critical to the success. They are the ones that are controlling the pacing, allowing the budget to be spent, and having the time available for all the team members that might be on the project. Very critical. The thing about user adoption, and that maybe comes twofold, is the system needs to be built so that it helps the users, and the users need to be trained and onboarded and understand why they're going through all this effort. If you treat the users as first-party citizens and help them understand the why of what we're doing and why we're doing it, usually to help the company grow and to provide a framework to make sales happen faster, then typically users will get on board and follow along. But the keys for users are training, support, and a well-fit CRM system. So for smaller companies, I often get the question that can one person fill multiple roles? And the answer is yes, if the roles don't conflict. So, for example, a developer and a QA, I wouldn't have one person do both of those things. Or I could have an executive sponsor be a subject matter expert. That aligns well. But a executive sponsor being, say, for example, the QA would be a really bad fit. The executive sponsor is busy. They're not going to have time to come and do the actions and steps necessary to make the QA effort go forward. So yes, we can have overlapping roles, but we just need to make sure that they are aligned in purpose and don't conflict with each other. So one thing that's inevitable in a CRM project is that there's always going to be contention, potentially conflicts. Somebody wants, one person wants one thing, somebody wants something different. And that's pretty normal. So the way that you combat that is that you have these ongoing meetings. You have kind of alignment meetings where you keep your lines of communication open. Everybody has well-defined roles. So for example, if a subject matter expert is saying, no, the process should be A, then B, then C, that's the process. The developer shouldn't be weighing in and saying, no, that's the wrong process. We need to go a different route. It's not the developer's job to do that. And then when all else fails, that's where the executive sponsor comes in. If there's a conflict that can't be resolved through clear roles and communication channels, then you bring the executive sponsor in. They are the one that make the final call on any functionality or CRM behavior. When thinking about your CRM project and getting ready to kick it off, it's important to think about your roles very early on in the game. You want to have the roles mapped out. Which ones do you need? Are you doing anything that involves a lot of data? For example, are you doing a data migration from one system to another? Are you doing integrations? You would need a data analyst. Maybe if you're not, that role might be minimized. So understand the scope of your project, break the scope down into the key roles that will be needed, and clearly identify each person, which roles they're playing, so that when you do come up to questions that are difficult or hard to answer, we know exactly who to turn to give us the correct answer. So after go live, the project's not really done, nor does it ever really finish. CRM is a living, breathing thing that times change, new technologies come, customers might have different expectations in the future. So ownership of the CRM project, the day-to-day ownership might fall in terms of the CRM admin or the end users or the CRM support team, the IT support team that are making sure the system runs. Long term, I would still come back to the subject matter experts and the business. The executive sponsor really owns the system over the long haul as far as what improvements, what enhancements need to be made as time goes forward. So some signs that you might see, warning signs that maybe your CRM project team needs to be realigned. Immediately, I would say if your timeline is extending and your deliverables and your deadlines are getting missed, then that would be definitely an early warning sign. Another would be, how is your budget tracking? Are you're 50% of the way through and you spent 50% of the budget? That's maybe a good sign. If you're 50% of the way through, but you've spent 90% of the budget, you're in danger. And so you can look at a CRM project just like you look at any project. Is the project team well functioning? Are they communicating? Are they meeting regularly? Do we have good status reports? Are we on time? And are we on budget? All things to look at to see if your project is struggling or if it's on track. Thanks for watching. This wraps up our Q&A for today related to the 12 CRM project roles video that we did. If you have some additional questions, you can check out the blog that's related as well. It's linked below. We'll see you next time.